In the heart of Greenwood Forest, strange whispers travel with the wind. Villagers say that every full moon, a famous billionaire named Richard Cole sneaks into the dark woods alone. No one knows why, but one stormy night, a young hunter followed him, and what he saw, hiding under the old oak tree, left him frozen in terror. Richard Cole was one of the richest men in the country. He owned tall hotels, big farms, and even his own airline. People admired him. They said he was blessed, but Richard kept one terrible secret. Many years ago, before he became rich, Richard was a poor trader. He lived in a tiny hut at the edge of Greenwood village. He struggled to feed himself. One night, while he sat hungry and hopeless by a fire in the forest, an old man in black robes appeared. The old man said in a deep voice, "I can give you all the wealth you desire. You will never lack anything. But you must obey one strange rule. On the night of every full moon, you must go into this forest alone and eat from the waste of the earth. If you ever stop, everything you own will vanish." Richard was horrified, but the hunger in his belly was stronger than his fear. He agreed. The next morning, his luck changed. A man he barely knew gave him enough money to start a small shop. The shop grew into a big business. Within a few years, Richard became a billionaire. But every month, when the moon grew full and silver, he slipped away from his golden mansion. He dressed in plain clothes, took a small lantern, and walked deep into the Greenwood Forest. No guards, no driver, alone. People often saw a light moving between the trees at midnight. They whispered, "That must be a ghost." Others said, "It's just Richard taking a walk." But one night, young Tom, a curious hunter, decided to follow. Tom moved silently, hiding behind trees. The forest was still, except for the sound of crickets. The silver moonlight made everything look strange. He watched as Richard stopped under a giant oak tree, placed his lantern on the ground, and knelt. Then Tom saw something so shocking, his heart almost stopped. Tom could not believe his eyes. Richard Cole, the man who always wore suits and gold watches, the man who gave speeches in front of presidents, was now kneeling on the damp forest floor like a beggar. Tom hid behind a thick tree trunk, his hands shaking. The moonlight shone on Richard's face. It looked pale and weak, nothing like the strong billionaire the world knew. Richard took a deep breath, then bent forward and began to eat from the far west lying under the tree roots. Tom's stomach turned. He covered his mouth to stop himself from shouting. "No, it can't be," he whispered to himself. Richard ate as if his life depended on it. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he chewed slowly, almost choking. Then he spoke in a low, broken voice. "Forgive me, Lord, but I can't go back to being poor. I can't lose everything I built. I have no choice." Tom's whole world trembled. He had grown up hearing stories about greedy men who sold their souls, but he never thought he would see such a thing with his own eyes. Suddenly, the night air turned cold. The leaves rustled, though there was no wind. Tom felt as if unseen eyes were watching him. Richard wiped his mouth with the sleeve of his jacket and looked up at the moon. His voice was almost a whisper. "Please keep my wealth safe. I have obeyed as promised." Tom stepped back carefully, but his foot snapped a dry twig crack. Richard froze. His head turned sharply towards the sound. His eyes widened, and for a moment, his face looked wide, like an animal cornered in the dark. "Who's there?" Richard shouted, his voice shaking. Tom ducked behind a tree, his heart pounding so loud he thought Richard could hear it. After a few tense moments, Richard grabbed his lantern and started walking quickly out of the forest. Tom stayed hidden until the sound of Richard's footsteps faded. When Tom finally crept back towards the village, his mind was heavy. He could not sleep that night. The image of the mighty billionaire eating that shameful thing in the forest burned into his memory. The next day, he saw Richard on the news smiling in his expensive suit, donating millions to an orphanage. People clapped and praised him as a man of kindness and honor. Tom stood silently in the crowd, his heart full of confusion and fear. If people knew the truth, he thought, would they still clap for him? One rainy night, he was too sick to go into the forest. The next morning, news spread like wildfire. His companies collapsed, his private jets were seized by banks, and his house were empty. People who once praised him turned their backs. Reporters searched for the reason behind his sudden downfall, but no one could explain it. Tom, the hunter, knew the truth, but he never told the world. He only shook his head and said, "Wealth gained through dark secrets never lasts." Richard spent his last days in the same small hut where he once started. All the money and fame disappeared, and he learned too late, and there is no shortcut to true success. Moral lessons 1. Greed can destroy a man. Wealth gained the wrong way will never bring peace. Secrets have a way of coming out, no matter how well you hide them. Contentment is better than curse to riches. A simple, honest life is safer than a life full of dirty secrets. 4. Every choice has a price. Quick riches often demand terrible sacrifices. Dear viewers, thank you for watching this story to the end. I hope you have learned that true success comes from hard work, patience, and honesty. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more shocking and life-changing tales like this, please subscribe to my channel and stick with us. Your support means a lot. It helps us bring you more stories that will open your eyes and touch your heart. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next story. Together, let's keep this channel growing and keep learning powerful lessons from every story.